My name's Timko, like he said, and this is my passion, this is my means, and this is my cause.
Cancer is a group of more than 100 diseases where your cells grow out of control. In their lifetime, 1 in 2 men will have cancer, and 1 in 3 women will have cancer. That's 2.5 billion people worldwide that will be told you have cancer. 666,000 people will get cancer each month. That's 154,000 per week. That's 22,000 each day. Cancer is the disease of our lifetime, but it doesn't have to be.
So needless to say, all of us are affected by cancer in one way or another. But I'd like to tell you my story. So this is my family. When I was in 5th grade, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. And she was very lucky. She went through surgery, chemo, radiation, and she was cured. However, it had a profound effect on me because I was seeing the person who had supported me so much, who had been there for me through everything, all of a sudden go through pain and be vulnerable. And for this reason, I felt very insecure. I felt almost embarrassed. People would ask me, Chris, how's your mom doing? Or they would say, I hope your mom's doing well. And I'd feel embarrassed. I'd feel insecure about this, and I wouldn't know how to respond. But at the same time, I wanted to do something about it. I wanted to help find a cure for cancer, do whatever I could. But I didn't have a means. I didn't have a way to go about doing this. So that's where this comes in. In 9th grade, I started riding my bike with my neighbor Mark, and we got into cycling, and that's this fashionable picture here. And we would ride on weekends, weekdays, all throughout the summer, 30 miles, 50 miles, sometimes 100 miles in a day. And I loved cycling. It became my passion because I loved going out, seeing the scenery, being, with great people out riding, and also for the exercise, which was fantastic. So one day, Mark called me, and he said, Chris, I found this ride. It's called Pelotonia, and it's in support of cancer research. You raise money for cancer research. And I was like, okay, Mark, I'll check it out. We'll see. I was 16 at the time, and this is what I found. So Pelotonia is a grassroots movement where riders from all over come together, raise money for cancer research at the James Hospital. They raise about $2,000 apiece. They commit to do this, and then they ride one day in August in support of the cause. And 100% of what they donate goes to fund cancer research at the James. And immediately I knew I wanted to do this. I wanted to be a part of it because finally I had a means to handle that insecurity about not knowing what to do about this thing. So I went online and I decided to sign up, typed all my information in, click submit. Keep in mind I was 16 at the time. And back comes this error message that says, you must be 18 to ride in this ride. And to me that was problematic because to me, cancer is a problem of our generation. We're going to be tasked with curing this thing. And I thought, okay, we need to, I want to be a part of this so I can support my generation in this fight. So I talked with my neighbor Mark, and we called Pelotonia, and I explained to them my situation. I could raise the money. I committed to raising double the money, and I did. And they said, okay, we'll let you into the ride. And they wanted me to be a part of this. So now our generation had representation in this cause that was so important. So I rode Pelotonia 2009 when I was 16. I rode 180 miles, but there's one moment that sticks out to me. We rode by the James Cancer Hospital, and the James has windows in the front, and when we looked up in the windows, we saw in every floor cancer patients pressed up against the wall, looking out, holding signs, waving, laughing, yelling, whatever, to cheer us on. And to me, then it became more than just about a cause, riding my bike for my mom, but it became about everyone who had been afflicted with cancer, or subsequently anyone who will be afflicted with cancer. So in Pelotonia 10, I decided to take it a step further. So before Pelotonia, I decided to ride 3,000 miles further from Savannah, Georgia to Los Angeles, California. So here I was, and dipping my wheel in the Atlantic Ocean, starting this journey. And we rode through the hills of Georgia, which was just crazy because I didn't actually know there were hills in Georgia, so that was a shocker. Then through Alabama, where these people, it was the 4th of July, and they were probably like most decidedly drunk, and no one sees cyclists there, so they were throwing firecrackers at us. And then we crossed the Mississippi River, and we headed into Arkansas through the Ozarks, which I didn't know what the Ozarks were, but they're actually mountains, so another shocker there. Then it flattened out through Kansas, which was great because then that was just like the ramp up to, of course, Colorado, which is the Rocky Mountains, which I knew they were there, but they were like 50 times bigger than I actually expected. And then we rode to the Grand Canyon, and everyone thinks the Grand Canyon's this big hole, but you have to ride really far uphill to get to the Grand Canyon, which sucked. So then, after the Grand Canyon, we rode through the Mojave Desert, and on one day, it was just, it was 120 degrees, and so it was just insane. And all this while, I would be writing letters, like trying to raise awareness for cancer research, and finally, we crossed a mountain range, made it to LA. So here I am, I'm feeling pretty good about myself. I just ridden 3,000 miles, I'm like, okay, I got this, like, I'm gonna have my moment, I'm gonna get to the Pacific Ocean, I'm gonna jump in, I'm gonna throw my wheel in, and it's gonna be fantastic. So we rode down the Santa Monica Pier, and I see the ocean, I'm running down, run across the sand, get to the water, dunk my wheel in, jump in the ocean, and then I'm like, cold, because it's freezing cold water, but I don't feel anything. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I just rode all these miles, I just raised, all this money, but I don't feel anything. And this Pacific Ocean, which was supposed to be the end of my goal, wasn't really what it was. So I climbed out of the water, walked back up, and this guy comes up to me, and he's like, Chris, where do you go from here? And I'm like, really? Like, I just rode 3,000 miles, and you're asking me where I go from here? Like, seriously? And so I kind of blew him off, but I was thinking about it later, and that was the right question to ask. Because I had used my means, I had used this bike, this wheel, to go across the country to raise money, but cancer doesn't end at the Pacific Ocean. And it's so much more than that. So I realized in the grand scheme of things, despite the fact that I had ridden to the Pacific Ocean, I was really but a few steps from where I first dipped my wheel in the Atlantic Ocean. And to me, cancer doesn't end there, and I'm here, and I needed to go further. So I rode Pelotonia again this past year. I interned with them all summer. And now at Georgetown, I'm working on figuring out a way that I can apply this means, my passion, to reach this goal. So, from all of my experience, I realized one thing, that it's not just about me, it's not just about this wheel going one distance, it's about all of us. It's about multitudes of people from our generation doing what they can to beat this disease, and it's going to be channeling their passions, whether it's a bike wheel or, whatever, to best apply to cancer research. And with this challenge comes the greatest triumph, because I firmly believe that we will be the first generation to tell our kids we live in a cancer-free world. So here we are, we've dipped together our wheels in the Atlantic Ocean, we're riding through the crazy South where people throw firecrackers at us, and then we're hitting like mountains that we don't even know exist, and we're going through Kansas having a great time only to hit a wall at the Rockies, and then finally we get to the Pacific Ocean, and this time together, when we get to the Pacific Ocean together, that will be the end of our goal. We will jump in and we will be able to say, we have beat cancer, but only until then. Until we do it together, until we work together, will that happen? So, this was me standing very, very underwhelmed outside of the Pacific. And until then, this applies, I think, to any cause, any global cause. But the question I have for you is, what is your passion? What is your means? And how are you going to use that to reach your finish line? Thank you.